How's it going, Chrono Clashers? Chris here with Chrono Clash Central, and this time we've got blue, green, and we'll be doing this deck profile a little bit differently, so I'd love it if you let me know in the comments what you guys think about this kind of like format for doing the deck profiles, and of course what you think of the deck. So I modeled this deck after, well, let's start with the reason why I made the deck. The first reason is because, oh my gosh, plus time Guardians. Here's in Sarutobi, Shino, Gaara, Sakura and Sarada, and Haku. Now all these guys have plus time Guardians that are more than +1. So these four all have +2, so they get flipped. Your opponent has 1 time or less, it's your turn. Booyah! We love it. Gaara has to be destroyed, but it gives you 3 times. So having, 15 Guardians in your stack that can, or potential Guardians, 15 cards in your deck that can be potential Guardians to give you plus time, should give you a lot of just like kind of cheesy free turns of your opponent, which hopefully guides you to victory. So this is our like time package in the deck, and what we'll do, the other part of this deck is kind of like based on what I would call a bait type playstyle. So now we're going to show you guys the bait package. I kept Shino there because he's part of that as well. And so the bait type playstyle, mostly because there's so much destruction in the game right now. People can just keep destroying, keep destroying, keep destroying. We want to be able to kind of force our opponents to kill cards that they don't want to kill. And that is where Protector comes in. If you plop down a Protector, then they kind of got to destroy it. So we've got only 2 of this Shino because he's so weak and he doesn't have a Guardian effect. At least Kakashi's got 4 strength, but you got your Guardians. So your Protectors, your Zabuza, and your Naruto. So these guys are kind of your bait cards. They're really, really annoying cards, especially these 2. These are like your main, like, if you have them in the game, like Naruto can snowball just by giving all your cards 1 less cost, and Zabuza is hard to get rid of already, but the 3 leadership he gets can just kind of really compound, especially if he stays on the field, which is going to be made more likely when you have these Protectors. And if your opponent's like, okay, well, I don't want to kill the Protector, and then you're like, oh, well, now I got a Zabuza, you got to deal with the Zabuza, but you got to get through the Protector first. It's a little difficult. So this is kind of like our quote-unquote bait package, cards that your opponent must get rid of, or you're probably doing a pretty good job. Now, the other part of this deck is once you've kind of baited your opponent into playing a destruction spell, blue just got all these fantastic play your opponent's effects. So once they play an effect, you're just going to go ahead and use it right back on them with these 3 guys, with your Minato as well. So all these cards have the red summon effect, so it means you can choose any player's battler and use its summon effect. So, if your opponent goes off, starts killing your guys, kill them right back. And the last card doesn't get to use your opponent's effect, but Asuma can give something -4, and that will help you kill stuff as well. So it kind of does the same thing. If your opponent's lacking in destruction spells, you can play the Asuma and then start using his effect again too. Because don't forget, these guys can all use your own effects as well. So don't double count the Sarutobi when you guys are looking at the deck profile. So those are like our main packages in the deck. We've got the time Guardians, we've got the really important cards your opponent wants to kill, hopefully, and the counter cards is what I call them. And then lastly, we just got some nice cards they're just pretty solid, whether they're in the Guardian stack, whether you just play them and, kind of like do your thing. So you've got Kinshiki, just a 7 attacker, gets an EX card in the Guardian, pretty good. Naruto gets you an EX as well. Kiba gives you some time on both sides. I didn't include him in the defensive time package because it only gives you 1. And usually that's not good enough to cut it. Doesn't cut the cake to flip it over to your turn, so I didn't include him there. But he can help you manipulate your time a little bit, which is pretty good. Konohamaru draws a card and taps a battler. That can be really useful for reactivating your sentinels if you don't want to attack with them, or for tapping an opponent's card that you want to be able to attack. Especially if you got 3 or more time, you could tap one of your opponent's card and then attack it. So it's pretty good. And then finally we've got Hashirama, who is kind of the killer. So, you know, that +1 guardian attack and the toughness makes him really hard to deal with, really hard to get rid of. So if you can kind of get him on the field without too much trouble, especially with a protector there, he's gonna be tough to get rid of. And he's also there because this kind of like baiting your opponent to playing cards and then using your opponent's effect, it's pretty weak to certain cards such as Might Guy, who's got 9 strength and destroys an 8 strength, so you can't kill him off of his own effect, you can't counterplay him. And you also have cards like Sai, which bounce cards to hand, so if you replay Sai's effect to bounce himself back to hand, then they just get to play it again, and it like kind of really are just in a standstill there. So Hashirama hopefully helps you get around that. You know, they're like, oh, well, I don't want to play this silly counterplay game, let me play Sai, and then he won't be able to use the counter effects, the steal effects. Then Hashirama is free to come down and beat some face. So that's kind of the thought behind the main deck. And the side deck, the extra battlers, it's just kind of like good stuff. You got Gamabunta, just a cheap Sentinel access when you really need it to save your butt. It's always nice to have. Also turns basically everything into like a Mitsuki. So anything you have that costs 2 in your hand, if they give you 2 time, you can be like, bop, bop, EX into the Gamabunta, you're dead. Shikaku is so good because we've got +2 guardian attacks, and 6 strength is nothing too shabby. Our other 4 cost is Gara, just a little bit more sentinel for when you need it, when you need to keep that last life alive and beat down your opponent at the same time. And then lastly, 5 costs. You saw there's a lot of 5 costs in the deck, and blue and green has some great 5 cost EXs. You've got Gamakichi and you've got Naruto for giving you extra time or leadership to help you spam the board a little bit more. And then Hashirama for being that obnoxious guy that is hard to get rid of with his toughness. So that is the deck profile. A little bit of bait action here. You've got your counterplay cards. You've got your sentinels. Where are they? Protectors. So you have a combination of protector and stealing effects to be a little tricky and make it a little bit obnoxious for your opponents that are trying to destroy everything. Hope you guys had fun, enjoy it, take it for a spin. Let me know how it goes. Honestly, I'm not so sure how well this will perform either. Just a little bit of a concept deck for you all. Just try something out, try new play styles, and you know, I always have some fun with these types of decks. So, as I always say, keep on learning, keep on having fun with us here at Chrono Clash Central. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in another video. Peace.